Hello. In this lesson, we have a new reading strategy called text mapping. To understand this strategy, we should answer the following three questions. First, what do we mean by text mapping? Two, how should we map a text? And then, what is the importance of text mapping? Then in the next lesson, we will practice mapping the passage that we studied last time about low academic achievement. We start by asking, then answering the question, what is text mapping? Text means the written or printed material that we read. This means the reading passage that we want to read. And mapping is the gerund of the verb map. And the gerund is or means the ing form of the verb when used as a noun. The verb map means to make a map. Then mapping is the process of making a map. So text mapping together is making a map for the passage that we are reading. So far, the question, what is text mapping, hasn't been fully answered yet. We still need to know the meaning of map and mapping. Look at the given simple map, which represents the surface of the earth outlining land and water. In addition to this, maps also represent political borders, natural features like mountains and valleys, weather conditions, among many other features. A map of a country also may show a lot of details about that country, including cities, villages, roads, bridges, forests, etc. So mapping represents different details ranging from very general details like land, water, to more specific ones like roads and bridges. Similarly, making a map of a text or mapping a text is representing its ideas ranging from very general to more specific. Still, more specific does not mean every single detail. Specificity here is not absolute or total. It is partial or relative. To illustrate, if a map shows a certain forest in a certain region, which is a specific detail, does it show every single tree in that forest? It doesn't, of course. Likewise, if a map of a passage shows a very specific idea or detail, it does not show every single word. So if mapping a text is making a map of the ideas in that text, is skimming then the same as or a kind of mapping? Before we answer this question, let's answer the second main question that was asked at the beginning. How should we map a text? First, since mapping is making, then while reading, we should make or write notes realizing or representing the main ideas. And such notes are usually written on the margins of the passage or on a separate paper, depending on the purpose of mapping, whether for answering questions in an exam or for analyzing a passage at home. But which parts of the passage should be read to write our notes? Is skimming sufficient? We already know how to skim. Or should we read more? Then a more intensive reading is required. Thus, the more specific the map should be, the more intensive the reading becomes. Look at the given figure, which shows the common distribution of details in a paragraph. As you see, there is a main idea supported by primary and secondary details. Then mapping a single paragraph, as an example, may be by taking a single note of what the whole paragraph is about, the main idea, or it can be specific by adding notes including the main or primary supporting details that directly support the main idea. Also, it can be more specific by adding notes including the secondary supporting details that directly support the main supporting details and indirectly support the main idea. Let's take one part of a paragraph and map it in the following illustrated ways. Although early marriage has a number of advantages, Many cases of divorce have been reported. A lot of divorced couples say that being in charge of monetary commitments, a house, paying visits, and then children is a too early big burden. They can't cope with all these demands, and splitting is usually the first choice on a list of solutions. Moreover, cases of interference from family members, etc. The paragraph starts by stating a change towards the disadvantages of early marriage. It's clear that the paragraph before this is about the advantages of early marriage. Let's start taking notes and mapping the paragraph. If the paragraph is part of a very long passage, we may only take a note to represent the main idea as shown in the first rectangle. If we need a specific map, we write the primary supporting details. And for a more specific map, more details are added, and so on. Look at the last figure, which shows another more specific map of the given example. In this map, examples of the resulting demands are added to the map. Now let's answer the third and the last question, which is about the importance of text mapping. What is the importance of text mapping? Text mapping is very useful and helps us remember the main ideas, especially when we read long passages, and also when we read difficult passages that may need analysis or more focus to elicit the encoded ideas. A map of a given passage, in addition, makes getting back to a point or a piece of information in the passage much easier. When one makes or draws a map, one knows every single detail added to or put on this map. This means that going back to any detail on the map to answer questions would be quick and without spending too much time. Moreover, mapping serves revising and preparing for exams. The notes we take when mapping inform us about the content of a text or sometimes about the key details in that text, depending on the map we make. Now we come to the end of this lesson. Next time, we'll practice mapping the passage about low academic achievement. I want you to map it first on your own, then see the next video and compare.